Buddy, I'm Russ Kane, and wrong way.
That way, yeah.
Mr. Phil Dave. Welcome, the Midday Show. Yep, I'm a bit discombobulated. I don't know what just happened. Philip, a charming light behind you, a table lamp.
Oh, yes, I know. I thought I'd go a bit more homely today. Has it worked?
Well, it's nice. It's very nice.
Thanks.
Yes. It's very nice.
I thought I'd make an effort.
And you have. You know, I was thinking about social media.
It's a dangerous business. Don't think.
I try not to do it too often because it never ends well. But I was thinking about social media. So this morning, I saw this picture of the most ridiculously opulent living room I've ever seen, something out of Dubai. I mean, somewhere ridiculous with minstrel gallery. It's the height of bad taste. Anyway, so I put it up saying I've just done a spot of redecorating and, popped down to B&Q and it took me an hour. I put all these things up, some serious, some a joke. And the sillier it is, the more that people like it. So my question to you, Mr. Phil Dave, I'm going to be absolutely honest with you, and I've got quite a lot to chat to you about today.
Oh.
No. I'd love your feedback. It's serious. I was going to do a talk, which was a ticketed talk. It was all about men's mental health, and cancelled it once, did it again, and I've spoken to the organizer. Said I'm pulling it. I'll be honest with you, I'm pulling it. Ticket sales were terrible, and my view. This is what I wanted to chat to you about. Now, you could take the sarcastic way and say, well, it's you that bloody hell wants to go and see you. But when I do the one-man show, I mean, last time I had to do two shows because the first show sold out in like two, so I did two shows in the same day.
Well, the problem was we overpaid the audience to go. That was the problem. We bought
Jonathan Pye is having to fill his seats. They use seat-filling companies to do it. Anyway, neither here nor there. I think, which is why we've taken the Midday Show into a different direction. I honestly think people are just exhausted and fed up and don't want to hear about it anymore. They want a break. They just want to be entertained. And I genuinely believe that.
Well, I think that the initial mission, not just what was before the Midday Show, but I think...
I don't care.
No, I know, but the initial mission for that and many others was just making people aware, that they could talk about these sort of things and it's okay to talk about these sorts of things. And I suppose now that that's almost mission complete, there'll be many who say, no, there's still plenty of people who don't. Well, you're not going to persuade them, okay, one way or another. I'm not being funny. It's exactly the same way that it takes a couple of generations to change an attitude. The reason why so many of the subsequent generations are the ones who will turn around now and will openly talk about mental health and well-being is because that's what they've grown up with now, or they're used to it. So I actually think from that point of view, it is mission complete. It's exactly the same way that, you heard some people say of, say, my grandparents' generation would openly would start sort of talking in a really disparaging way about people from certain backgrounds. You wouldn't do it now, or at least you wouldn't think so, unless, of course, they came from Israel, because everyone seems to be doing that at the moment. But unless they sort of came from a certain background, there's things that, say, grandparents' generation would say that you wouldn't dream of saying now.
No, absolutely.
And I think it just goes to show that now that people have been re-educated, yes, it's still important to still talk about it, but there are signs all over the place now. And I can't help but feel as though that maybe not mission complete, but mission pretty successful.
Yeah. Well, I agree, and thank you. And thank you for that, although I'm not taking praise for what was a kind of worldwide movement, apart from the Middle East. It's interesting, though, isn't it, that I then went back to the organizers, who are very nice people, and it's a place kind of close to my heart. And I said, what about later in the year or next year, I don't mind, that we just do a sort of Q&A and a chat and like what happened when I was here and all that sort of thing, rather than, and then, you raise the funds that way, rather than, because the talk was entitled, Don't Man Up, Speak Up. That's what they wanted. They wanted, don't man up, speak up. That's what they did. And interestingly, they pushed it to all the local GP surgeries and everything. No. And I'd gone back the first time. I said, I really think people are exhausted from this. They don't want it. I mean, the proof of the pudding is since I left what we had before and we started this, the Midday Show, which I've managed to misspell because I'm an idiot. Since we did that, the figures have gone up 5 times. The figures have gone up by a factor of 5. And I think it's because we've just lightened the mood. I don't think you can keep banging on about the same thing. But you're absolutely right. You think about it. My dad's generation, I think about my mum and dad a hell of a lot. I think the older I get, the more I think about them. You know, you say, one for the road. You'd have a drink, an extra drink before you got in your car. That was how it was. You know, the glasses would, I don't mean these glasses, I mean, drinking it was one for the road. Yay. And I thought that was that's very kind. Elizabeth,
wait, are you telling me we're not supposed to do that anymore?
Oh, no, we are. Of course we are. That's interesting.
Please drink aware. We are not encouraging that kind of behavior.
Don't get into your car pissed. It's disgraceful. Come on, park your car up. If you get drunk, get an Uber or a bus or something and then go in the next day. My good mate Jason, don't know who that is. Could be Jason Orange.
So says Paul Claridge.
Paul Claridge wrote and recorded all the music for Jonathan Pye, his podcast series on BBC and the live stage show. Yes. What I really like the tag you did with APA, which is Dave Sleet's couple. What does this say?
Grow a pair.
Use
the pair of ears you've got.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Dave said earlier, by the way, he mentioned earlier about, he says exactly, Phil, awareness, mission, action, mission to launch. So it's, look, I suppose what I'm getting at is that this is not about being fatigued with talking about mental health and well-being. I think it's now sort of part of everyday life, whether people like it or not.
Yeah,
and
I'll agree with that.
It's more about how we've sort of not completely changed attitudes towards it, but maybe adjusted some attitudes towards it to encourage others. And so I feel as though that by now, compared to, say, even as recently as maybe 10 years ago, someone would be able to turn around and say, oh, do you know what? I'm having a really bad day. I'm feeling very, very stressed, very upset, very down.
Yeah.
And someone would say, what can I do to help? As opposed to, oh, sorry to hear that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's silly things like that. It makes a major change.
I agree. And anything to help with suicide prevention is a great thing. I want to talk about something quite serious, if I may. All right.
What happened to lightening the mood?
No. It's something that occurred to me. It's the yin and yang of life, isn't it? And I put a post about it on social media, on Facebook. And I want to bounce it off with you. On night before last, you, myself, Chantal, and just about everyone we'd ever met was at, I'm going to be quite honest, probably one of the best parties I have been to in 20 years, I would say, easily. Okay. It was to celebrate, and it was great because I had Phil on my right. It was a full sit-down dinner at Langhams Brasserie to celebrate the great broadcaster, James Whale, MBE. And he got an MBE, went up during the day to collect it from Windsor Castle, the delivery office, and then it was there. The World and his wife was there. And on my left was Simon Withington, who was the guest on the Midday Show the other day. And we go back about 30 years or so. And it was a wonderful thing. Now, James is very, very ill. He has cancer. It's a miracle he's still with us. So really, it was a celebration of his life. It was much more than just, let's have a huge party with Charlie Mullins of Pimlico Plumbers. And bless you, Charlie, if you ever happen to see this, you're a very, very generous man. It was an extraordinary evening. I mean, Phil and I were just, we were having the best time. I hate parties, and I get quite nervous, and I try and say no to like every invitation, as anyone who knows me knows. And I went along with huge trepidation, thinking I won't know a soul. I'll eat dinner and I'll leave. No.
I hardly spoke to you for Mosey because you're busy speaking to everyone else.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious. And it was just a wonderful atmosphere for two reasons. One, because everyone loved James Whale. They were genuinely there because they loved him a lot. And two, a celebration of his life, because he is the first to say he has no idea how long he's got. We're not talking years and years. I wish it were. Highly unlikely. And the best speech came from his oncologist. And as Kimmy Lashmar, just what she say,
celebrate someone while they're still with us. More of those, please.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so. So here's the thing. It was wonderful. Then the very next day, yesterday, I had to do a celebrant service at a funeral. And it's the yin and yang.
Please make it clear it was absolutely nothing to do with James. Sorry, because that sounded like it followed on.
I was a celebrant.
So it's absolutely nothing to do with James.
No, of course not. Of course not. It's a completely separate thing. And the lady who had passed, younger than me, was a cleaner. Not famous. And I was thinking, it really doesn't matter. And there is a point to what I'm coming to. Who you are, what you do, we all end up in the same place. And I think James's attitude was, he gave a beautiful speech. And he said, I've had a great life. I've been very lucky. I've had a great life. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And he was surrounded by 150 people who loved him, who liked him, who admired him. And it was great. And then the next day, it was a small funeral, but very, very touching. And it makes no difference to me. People are people. But we all end up in the same place. But you might as well just enjoy yourself, which is why I'm kind of linking it back to why I think people were tired of talking about mental health and well-being. Just try and enjoy yourself. I received, now I can't mention any names, Phil. You have to bear with me on this. No, you have to bear with me on this. I received a message from a dear friend to say that someone, just as I'm walking into the James Whale's dinner to meet you, and I haven't said this to you, you don't know, someone that I admire hugely, a great talent, and somebody I've known for many, many years, had died, literally dropped dead.
Oh,
and it wasn't substantiated. I can't say who it is. It hasn't come public yet. And this particular person is a little bit younger than me, a fantastic writer, a brilliant wit, hugely talented, greatly admired. I admired him enormously. We'd had dinner. And two things.
Got a time for the signal to go. Who only knows what's happening?
At that dinner, which was not that long ago, 2 of the 6 of us, people who know this particular person will be very upset. And it makes life feel so both precious and precarious. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. Of course it does, because you're reminded how important it is to value those who you've got whilst you've still got them.
Mm.
And then it makes you think of your own mortality. So absolutely, I get it.
It was a huge shock, and I didn't want to believe it. And I immediately contacted some.
Do you think this is divine intervention?
Who had been very close to this person. I can't say more. They were in different circumstances, but I also thought, well, if I've got to go,
Russ, I think we need to forewarn you that it was less forewarn, it's more post-warn. Your signal has just dropped in and out twice. So sorry about that. You may need to repeat yourself a little bit because we didn't catch all of that, I'm afraid. Oh dear. I think he's gone.
Reboot.
He's gone. There we go. So hopefully Russ will be able to sort that out before long and we'll get back on track. Let's read some of your messages in the meantime, shall we? Facebook user, I don't know who you are, but I am sure you will reveal yourself. Says, greetings from on board the saga of adventure, heading for the sunshine in the Eastern Mediterranean. I don't know who you are, but I find myself mildly jealous of your position. That sounds marvelous right about now, especially given how miserable it is in central, out in central London right about now. It says, you could get a lot of potential new business on board this saga ship. I think I know who that is because of the humor, but I will let you reveal yourself all the same. Let's have a look and see. Elizabeth Green says, yes, I woke up this morning. I'm grateful. And you know what? I couldn't agree more. I'm really sorry. I've got a dry eye at the moment. So if I keep rubbing it, I do apologize. It's very, very frustrating. So, but you're right, Elizabeth. You just have to sort of think to yourself every morning you get up that you've got to be grateful for it and make the most of every single day. It sounds so cliche. It sounds almost borderline corny. In fact, maybe not even borderline. It sounds incredibly corny, but I mean it. You've got to enjoy one has to enjoy every single day.
Yep, you've got to try. Sorry about the signal. It just, I don't know. I think the aerial gets wet. I don't know.
Who only knows? I haven't read Paul's message because I thought we should go through that and unpick it together.
All right.
But Paul has said,
yeah,
clear my throat because it's quite a long message. One should never boast about the size of one's message, but it's quite a long message. He says, I've spent the last few weeks helping a dear friend, looking after her dogs, and at times looking after her too, as she's going through some issues. She phoned me in tears yesterday because the NHS counselling service she was referred to by her local council no longer exists. She turned up at the centre where they were supposed to be, only to be told the service closed down months ago.
Unbelievable.
Mental health issues are very real, and yet in this country, the professional help is very hard to find. So thank you for that, Paul. Do appreciate the message. And you're quite right. It is a bit of a lottery, unfortunately. But I think that we can appreciate, regardless if it's mental health or physical health, the NHS is a little bit of a lottery at the moment. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't make it right. But it is, I don't think that it's exclusive to mental health, if you see what I mean.
No, it absolutely, they're struggling. Let's not kid ourselves. They're absolutely struggling. That's all there is. That's all there is to it. How it keeps going, I don't know. But somehow it does. I wonder what Chantal has been seeing this week. I found nothing. I have found nothing of any interest to watch. Absolutely nothing.
I'm finally starting to catch up on Death in Paradise, so I'm getting there slowly but surely. Sorry, I've taken a while, but I'm getting there.
Which series? Are you still with Miller? Ben Miller?
You're right, actually. Yeah. No, I'm now on series 12. So I know that we've got 13. The latest one was series 13. So I'm about halfway through series 12. So
I got to tell you, the last series was really, really good. The new one, the latest.
I'm going to level with you. I hope it was better than series 12 because actually series 12 I think was quite weak compared to how it has been.
It dipped, but so
that's
it's
really
so
good
hard.
To know.
It improved. It is so hard to sustain something of it's impossible. I was watching an interview with Jerry Seinfeld, an old interview, and Jerry Seinfeld was asked this question: you were offered $110 million to do one more series of Seinfeld. Did you turn it down? And he said, yes, I did. And the interviewer said, and Seinfeld looked at him and said, oh, I could have got a lot more than 110. That was the opening offer. And this is personally, not to the cast, just to Jerry Seinfeld himself, one more season of Seinfeld. And he said, why? Why did you turn down the money? And he said, because quite simply, you can't keep up that standard. And I'd rather go out on a high than people go, it was all right.
And it's, you know what, if you think of all of the great series, they've all done that. Every single one of them have done that. Look at
they've rinsed it, and then you think,
comedy,
oh, this is God.
No. But from comedy, look at Fawlty Towers and Dinner Ladies. Those two series are probably the most famous for doing that. Both, so both Victoria Wood and also John Cleese, respectively, of their own sitcoms, they both said
there was only ever 12 episodes of Fawlty Towers. 12. That was it. No more.
They both said they didn't want to do endless series of it. They just had a few ideas. Wants to put it into perfecting those, and that was going to be it. And it's absolutely the right thing. Could you imagine Fawlty Towers being as legendary as it is now if there were more episodes?
No,
because the silliness that runs throughout it as its sort of core would only have sustained it, I think, so far to make it from genius to it's okay.
Yeah.
And you've got to be
I
very
mean,
careful with that.
I think of stuff which I know it's ridiculous, but I used to love Are You Being Served? I thought it was hilarious.
What? Brilliant.
I thought it was hilarious. All right. You know,
I'm
all
free.
you modern people go, ooh, it's that. Yeah, whatever. It made me laugh. All right. I like the characters and I like the scripts. And it was silly. But it
Mr. Humphreys, are you free?
I'm free. Miss Brahms, may I have a It was just great. I just loved the character.
It played havoc with my pussy.
Captain P.
I protest in the strongest, and I am unanimous with that.
It was just fun. But as the series went on and on and on, it just got weaker and weaker because there was no new plot. Like it should have stopped. It was getting really pretty lame. But then some of the stuff that you look at, like Vicky Michelle was there the other night and looked at each other forever. And hello, hello still makes me laugh. I know it's wrong on so many levels, but because it's so silly, it's so very British and so ridiculously silly, it's funny. And funny is funny. That's it. If it makes you laugh, it's funny. If you don't like it, it's not funny to you. Doesn't mean it's not funny. You know, it doesn't mean that. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
People go, I don't like so-and-so. He's not funny. Well, like people say, I don't like Michael McIntyre. I happen to like Michael McIntyre. But if you don't like him, he's not funny to you. I find him funny. I can't stand Keith Lemon. He's hugely popular. I don't get it. I mean, I just want to punch the television screen every time. I literally have to change. I can't even watch the adverts. I can't even watch the adverts.
Time to go through Gale. Yeah, no, I know.
It's like, why?
It's honestly,
and people are up in arms. I mean,
just hearing that sound,
it's just horrible. Honestly. And people are up in arms about Alison Hammond. All right, here's the deal with Alison Hammond. Right, she's not in your house. She's not knocking on your front door. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Don't get into hysterical bait about the whole thing. There's a lot more in the world to really be pissed off about than Alison Hammond's got some TV shows. Who the hell cares? She seems all right to me. I'm sure if you met her, she'd be perfectly nice.
No, it is amazing how this is I blame social media for this. I know blame social media for a lot of things.
Well,
but I
it
really,
is to blame
really
for a lot.
Blame it for this. I hate how we live in a world where people think that their opinion is not only important but gospel,
and has to be heard.
And people don't understand how an opinion is just that. It's an opinion. Your opinion. It is yours. And, you know, I was having this discussion with someone who, although he's a friend, it's a very curious relationship because our political stance, our respective political stance, winds each other up quite badly. So inevitably, whenever we're together, you end up with this sort of mini fireworks display of back and forth over who's right about something and who's wrong. And I've said, he came out with a line suggesting that he is quote unquote intolerant of intolerance. And I said, well, the problem the problem with that is it means that you are an intolerant person. Then you're
intolerant.
So you might have a problem with that. If you have a problem with other people being intolerant, you can't be intolerant yourself. That doesn't make sense at all. And he couldn't get his head around it. And he's a clever guy, you know. His degree and everything is clearly very studious, very academic.
He's got knowledge. He's got knowledge somewhere.
Absolutely, Bogophology. He's got something that he's definitely a clever guy, but couldn't get his head around. What I was trying to get at is the difference between opinion and fact. So, for example, right? The subject of same-sex marriage came up. Now, I know this is very controversial. I'm fully aware there are going to be people who are going to say, "Oh, you can't talk about that. How wrong?" But you can. You've got to talk about everything in this world. If you don't talk about everything, then things go underground and hatred builds, okay? For me, personally, I have only ever seen marriage between a man and a woman. That's just my humble opinion. That's my belief. However, if someone wants to call themselves married and they're in a same-sex couple, I'm very happy for them. They're not doing any harm to me. Go for it. Enjoy yourself. Live the life you want to live. It's my opinion. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I can't be told I'm wrong to think like that because it is my opinion. In exactly the same way someone else would say.
So I'm sorry, let me jump in. So your mate is saying you're wrong, that it's not a marriage. Is that what he's saying?
No. Sorry. No. Saying wrong. I'm wrong to think in that way.
In what way?
It's to suggest that marriage is it's the way I see marriage is male and female, not male, male, female, female.
I'm just going to put in my tuppence worth here. All right. 2 of my cousins are gay.
Yes.
One male, one female. They're both in very, very happy marriages. I couldn't love them more if I tried. I absolutely adore them. I was at one of the weddings. It was like one of the happiest. I mean, it was just great. I mean, we're very close.
Let me be really
completely.
Let me be really
people
clear.
don't think I think like this, but in fact, I do. I don't care if you are happy. Enjoy.
And that is my attitude. That is totally my attitude.
Enjoy yourself.
It's not doing me any harm. I don't care. Go for it. Enjoy.
That's
right.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to get at is the difference between fact and opinion. It's not fact to say I'm wrong to think the way I do. What is fact is to say that same-sex marriage is legal in this country now.
Well,
so it's irrelevant
that's
what
right.
I think. That's fact.
Yeah.
It's not fact to say that I'm wrong for believing my beliefs. They're just my beliefs. I don't do any harm with them. I would never encourage anyone to think the same way I do.
And knowing you as I do,
before
people start beating the crap out of you,
they're very welcome to try. They're not going to get very far.
No. But knowing you as I have done for 20 years, whatever it is, it's that you would be
is it that long already.
Well, it's bloody. It feels like it. Anyway, you would be welcoming. You'd be hospitable. You would be utterly charming. You wouldn't do anything that would make people feel uncomfortable. That's the point.
Just by the way, for the record, my first cousin, male, is married to a man. Just for the record, okay. So it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wasn't invited to the wedding, but let's not dwell on that.
You sit shiver.
No, I did not.
You're
outrageous.
I'm not explaining that, Gay.
If you get it,
some people will get it. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't.
Let's just say that's Jewish mourning. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at, okay, is that
Chantal's shaking her head.
I'm not surprised. She's thinking, "What the hell have I got into here?" Look, my point is very simple, right? People can think how they want to think. That's an opinion. That's up to them. As long as you don't do any harm with that opinion, physically and mentally, what the hell does it matter, right? I don't agree with the way an awful lot of people are behaving about the Middle East at the moment, but realistically, they're not going to do any harm. Israel as a country will still exist.
Well,
no, they won't.
That's a 5-hour discussion.
No, my point being,
Jeez.
No, my point being is that people can think what they want to think. Collectively, it might do harm, but individually, I'm never going to let anyone's stupid opinion, in my humble opinion, ruin what I think of that region of the world.
Your opinions aren't stupid. They're your. This is the thing. They're your opinions. Everyone's entitled.
It's stupid to me.
All you have to do is think. You know, one of the things, and I'm training, and it's a work in progress. I'm the first to admit it. It's a work in progress to say, I will wean myself off the toxicity of, not easy to say, Twitter. I will wean myself off that because I'm on it, and with literally 20 seconds, I'm enraged. And I think, whoa, stop, Russell. You don't need to look at this crap. You don't need to. You can enjoy the stuff. Interact with the people that you really like, that you admire, you would look up to, that you're amusing or interesting. You don't need to get engaged with any of this stuff. You don't. So I don't.
Look, I mean, to tell you the truth, I mean, even today on social media, I had my fair share of abuse. There's one person who naturally, of course, is completely anonymous. Heaven forbid they should show their face and be brave enough. And they're going around Kelsapri's spreading misinformation about the Middle East. And I responded saying something along the lines of, you can tell as many lies as you want, but it doesn't mean that it's true. Do you know what I mean? You can just, if that, what I just said, I've just said it's very simple. You know, you keep lying if it makes you feel better, but that's it. It's a lie. And the response was to that, because there really is no response other than this, a professional photo of me from one of the places I work saying, don't think I'm going to believe England's most paedophile-looking radio host. and that's the response.
God.
And that's the response I got. So, but this is it. This is what I'm getting at. Is if that's the level.
Mind you, they're not wrong. They've got a point.
Thank you. You're a pal, anyway.
I am. I'm there for you, pal. What for visiting
rights?
Thing to say. That is unbelievable.
Okay, but luckily with things like that, it goes over my head because there's nothing to catch it. But the point is,
you make light of it. Does it seriously not hurt when you read disgusting shit like that? Does it not hurt?
Okay, so does it not hurt? It doesn't hurt. The only thing I'm slightly annoyed by is that if anyone's stupid enough to take that kind of accusation seriously, that's the only thing I don't like. But make no mistake. I mean, I'm not being funny. I've not got any criminal record. Do you know what I mean? I'm like one of the squeakiest clean individuals you're ever going to happen across. So people can go hurling that kind of suggestion if they want, but prove it. Do you know what I mean? So,
no, it's disgusting.
And there'll be nothing there. It's more about, I think it's sad that we've got to a stage. No, but it's sad that we've got to a stage where if someone can't enter a legitimate debate and discussion because they have no facts about it, because their opinion is, in inverted commas, gospel, and the best retort they can give is a personal attack to the person they're debating with, then that demonstrates to me everything you need to know about what social media stands for. And the way I look at it is, if I had my way, I'd have nothing to do with social media. Unfortunately, my job would sort of dictate I have to. But believe me, if ever a day came when I don't have to use social media, it's gone. Totally and utterly. I don't see a point in it. It's awful.
And it can be fun if you choose to. It can be.
Speaking of can be fun if you choose to. Hi, Chantal, Rickards.
Yay!
Hello, rant over.
Sorry. I thought I'd better introduce you because otherwise I could go on for another half hour.
I didn't think it was a rant. I thought it was, I'm going to get your banner up because
on to more exciting things to talk about. How nice.
No, Phil, I'm sorry you have so many, some detractors on social media, but Russ is right. Don't look at it.
Well, let's put it this way, Chantal. I don't think that I'm necessarily known as someone who is, what's the opposite of a wind-up merchant? I suppose I am a bit of a sort of agent provocateur. So if that is the case, I suppose I have to expect the backlash that comes with that. But it's not, I don't sort of see correcting misinformation as being
but they're fanatics. But Phil,
you're not, and I think that's the difference.
Phil, you're not dealing with rational people. You're dealing with fanatics. You can't change the mind of a fanatic. You can't. They're nuts. They're nuts. End of story.
But these platforms are giving oxygen to these people, and that's what I object to.
I tell you what I object to more, then we're getting on to why Chantal is gracing us with her lovely presence, is this.
She's here to review the food of the other evening.
Oh, wow. We'll get on to that in a sec. Listen, what I object to is I report disgusting tweets to X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I report them regularly.
I know what you're going to say. Ditto.
Not once has Twitter, X, Musk's company, come back and said, you're absolutely right. This is unacceptable. It doesn't break
exactly.
What the hell? These are things saying death to this. Let's kill. I mean, it's as blunt and as
it's not even subtle
as this. It's these people have to die. We must kill these people.
No.
And
do you know?
It's like I'm not even bothering to report because it's a waste of my time.
And do you know, I have to say,
customer services at X any longer, is there? They've all gone.
I don't think so. Do you know? I have to tell you, right, that the other day, I was reported. Oh,
that was me. Sorry about that. You annoyed me.
No, because some individual that I was debating with, in inverted commas, made some sort of childish jibe. And I said, I'm not going to debate any more with you. I wouldn't want to deprive you of sleep before kindergarten tomorrow. That's all I said. And I got a message from Twitter or X. I got a message from Twitter or X saying, we believe you have violated our code of conduct.
Yes. No, if you'd have said, I'm going to come around and chop your head off.
I didn't swear.
That would have been fine.
Believe me, I didn't swear at them. I didn't put any hate speech or anything like that. Literally, word for word, I just said, I'm not going to debate any more with you because I wouldn't want to sleep deprive you ahead of kindergarten tomorrow. And that constitutes something that Twitter will remove.
But this is why we can't have any faith in the law. I have no faith in it whatsoever. Absolutely zero.
In the law? No faith in the law?
No, I don't. No, I absolutely, I don't have faith in this. And the lunacy going on in Scotland underneath, I mean, that guy's going to get, they're going to be obliterated come the election, the SNP. They're going to be obliterated, and so they should be, but because they're a disgrace. But that guy, it's not his personal fiefdom. God only knows what they'll find when they go into an investigation. I mean, that's what they're going to do. Yeah. Graham Pack says you were clearly being ageist with the kindergarten gag, you know?
Evidently.
I don't have
How
faith in it.
silly
I've
of me.
lost faith. I've lost faith in it all completely. I have no faith. I have no faith in the police. I have no faith in the police whatsoever. And I have no faith in the law. I don't.
I think what you need to think of. Yeah, but okay, I think what we need to think of is the reason why certain things make news is because it's still shocking behavior. So actually, it's not a case of that the police aren't doing sterling work in between all of the nonsense that we hear about them. The nonsense rises to the surface because that's what's so unusual. That's what's so abhorrent. That's the way I look at it. Anyway, I try.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. I'm not
Kimmy Lashmar, thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe his mummy reported him for keeping him awake. So,
but it's like it is mind-boggling that you could just say the most horrific things I would never say on our own show.
Did you ever go to Speaker's Corner, Russ, when you were a student?
When I was a kid, I used to go there a lot. Sure, I used to love it. Yeah.
Even I've been to Speaker's Corner.
Okay.
I used to love
Does it still exist?
I don't know if it has done since COVID. I know it did certainly up until. I know it certainly did up until, because I actually went. I'm really sorry. This is going to go off on a tangent. This is not what you're here for, Chantal. I'm really sorry. But very quickly.
Got an OBE, for God's sake.
No, please. I know, but very quickly, because we also want to get on to Wales Party as well, because we haven't spoken about that. But with Russ and I we haven't spoken with you. Anyway, years ago on a radio station I used to work on, I used to do a feature where it was, because it was a London-based radio station, and I used to be a tourist in my own city. That was the feature. I'd go and do all these different tourist attractions and cover it on air. Great fun. Loved it, really. And I was such a fraud because I used to get all of these for free. It was amazing. I know Speaker's Corner was and is free if it is still around, but my point is some of the other attractions weren't. Anyway, when I went to Speaker's Corner, genuinely, I was absolutely blown away by how popular it was even in those days. And this certainly was within the last 10 years, where you've got a load of people standing around someone who, let's be honest, clearly had some sort of like cranial accident as a baby, right? And they're just standing on top of, I mean, people call it a soapbox. No, it's not. It's an old crate, a knackered old crate from a fruit and veg shop, let's be honest. But they're standing on their soapbox and just spouting the worst kind of drivel that you genuinely, the words you hear, you're worried you're going to actually find contagious. But it's just bizarre, absolutely ridiculous. And why is it nearly all of the speakers at Speaker's Corner look like they didn't have any running water?
Because they do.
Maybe they don't.
There's a thing when I'm at Piccadilly Circus a lot of the stuff that I do is around there. and it's just a central station. And I come out, and so often there's a guy with a megaphone. Like it isn't quite noisy enough on Piccadilly side. It's just like, I've got my earphones in. I'm trying to listen to like an Anthony Horowitz book. I don't need this. And he's yelling and shouting about, Jesus is coming back and this, that, and the other. I'm going, oh, okay. I don't know who you're talking to, because no one's taking a blind bit of notice.
No, exactly.
You know what you need to do next time you happen
across
it. No, I know. Next time you happen across that with somebody, just get your phone out, get the diary, and just say, "Can you tell me the date and time? I want to prepare for it."
Oh, they tell you that. I'm not going to engage in conversation. Thank you very much. It's bad enough. But they clearly believe it. Chantal Rickards, it was so lovely to see you 2 nights ago in person.
Yeah, we had a night out.
What a night it was.
Honestly, if it would have finished earlier, we could have wound up at BAFTA.
Well, actually, we should have done. Although I didn't leave Langham till rather late and felt slightly bleary-eyed yesterday.
Were you
morning.
Slightly woozy, slightly tipsy?
Yes, probably had 1 glass of champagne more than I needed, frankly.
One. I probably had 1 vineyard more of champagne. I've never been to a do, and it was not Prosecco, which would have been highly
it was
acceptable.
champagne.
It was
so
champagne, and it never, ever stopped.
No,
it never stopped. Any other do,
extraordinary.
it's like for the, when you walk in and then it switches to wine, obviously. No, it never stopped. It was like, wow, this is.
There was lots of it, and
great.
it's still going right up
Yeah,
until the sort of.
Very, very.
And
very,
I have to tell you, I was extraordinarily disappointed to say I had to leave early.
Yes, you
Did
did.
you have the cheesecake, by the way, in the end, Russ?
No, I did. The desserts.
Well, you never got your one.
They don't know it all arrived, but I ate some cheese.
Oh, okay. So
I
what
sat
happened was
on my table on my own. Everyone had gone, just eating my cheese.
No,
that's my idea of heaven. That's my idea of heaven. My problem was, I'm really sorry, and then afterwards I'll shut up and we'll talk about TV. But then my problem is that I unfortunately, not unfortunately, I love it. I'm really happy. I had something on air to do at 11 o'clock.
You were working.
And I had to get there. I had to get there, prep, and be on air. So I had to leave by just after 10, which was really annoying because actually I was quite enjoying it.
Not to everyone else at the table, though.
No, I'm sure it got a lot quieter.
Mood just lifted.
Well, I have that effect.
Everybody else from Talk TV or Talk Radio was at the party, weren't they? So
everybody,
they
did
were.
You have to let yourself in? Did they?
And it was very brave.
Rupert give you a key? Did you have to let yourself into the building?
I don't worry. I have access. It's very, very. How can I put it? Very brave of them to invite so many people from Talk in one go, because let's just say that collectively we probably have the world's largest liver.
Oh, man.
So it was quite.
They were
brave.
hammering it back. Gotta tell you.
And I can tell you that the day after, boy oh boy, was the office one of 2 things: either quiet or full of people who really didn't want to be there. So anyway,
or both.
Any old way.
Think about me. I was standing in the pulpit conducting a funeral service, so I had to be on sparky form.
Lily DeBovid.
It was a lovely, lovely event, and I do need to thank Mr. Mullins personally. I've written to Mr. Mullins via Twitter, but
I must text him.
I've got his email address if you need.
If you would ping it, and I could do it. But we were saying at the front end of the show what was beautiful about it, and this is very central to everything that I believe in so much. It was a celebration because James Whale is a realist. And in some way, you're going to hate me for saying this, it was a huge celebration for his MBE, much deserved.
Yeah.
And also, he doesn't know how much longer he's got, is the brutal truth. He's been on, his oncologist, he's been on borrowed time. And he said, I've had a wonderful life. And in many ways, it was a great celebration to say, you're a groundbreaking person within the media. You're a lovely man. You're loved. Whatever happens, thank you for everything you've done and hopefully will continue to do for how long that may last. Of course, radio people being radio people, Kevin O'Sullivan and what's his name? Guy I don't like. What's his name?
Well, I'm not telling
Kyle.
you now. You said that.
Kyle.
Anyway.
Got up and they said,
Kyle.
we just think you're a fraud. You're supposed to be dead. How come you're still here?
I know that was quite close to the bone.
It was about as, and I went, oh, and I don't shock that easily, especially with guys like that. But it was both horrible and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I can't help but wonder whether or not people laughed out of nerves, though. But
when it was a hell of a line. I mean, it's not a line that I would even go close to that. What have you managed to find? I found nothing.
Let's talk TV.
I heard you say.
You see what I did there?
Yeah.
I said,
TV,
let's talk TV.
Talk TV. Yeah.
Well, yes. I mean,
we've got more listeners, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
To the best of my knowledge, I haven't lost 54 million. Oh man,
I can't be subject to this discussion. Move on. Right? Yes, Chantal, what have you found?
Well, some interesting things. A couple of second series of things. You may remember that this time last year we talked about a very good police series from Northern Ireland that's on the BBC called Blue Lights.
Oh yes.
It's very.
Was that a year ago already? We spoke about that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a year ago. Season 2's come back. And quite right that they renewed it because it was really good first time round. So the original first 6 were about a local crime family in Belfast. And then there's the introduction of people who we're told are called the sneaky beakies. And we're thinking, now, who are the sneaky beakies? And we realize that MI5 seems to be involved, driving around Belfast in unmarked cars. Thinking, what's all this all about? The whole thing is seen through the eyes of 3 brand new recruits. One is a young man who's an academic. One is a woman who has been a social worker. And then there's one other person who's very, very fearful of owning up to any of her friends, even the people in her hockey group that she's joined the police service Northern Ireland. So the first series, and I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to ruin it, but you really should go back to the first series.
Is it set now, Chantal? Yes. Is it set? It's set in like 2024. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. And it's really at a point whereby, it's post the Troubles. It's a whole new way of policing. There are still major divisions between the different groups there. But underneath it all is the fact that drug criminality is writ large. And it's forward to the second series. Haven't started it yet, but I will do over the next few days. But it's been very well reviewed. Ratings are good. Everybody's delighted it's back. And that's literally just started this week on BBC One again. So find Blue Lights because it's an easy watch in terms of it's not massively complicated, but it's very well played. There are a lot of stories of the families that is interesting and adds to the overall sort of rich pattern. It's very well written. I really like it and recommend it. That's Blue Lights on BBC One. Yeah, definitely.
I thought, I'd forgotten all of that because I thought it was one of those reality things, where you're on board with PC Ken and meanwhile Sergeant Ken is, one of those which I don't really watch because I don't. Blue Lights. Okay.
Blue Lights. And then I wanted to ask you as men, because you are men and identify as men, is what masculinity means to you, because Danny Dyer's trying to get to the bottom of it.
Yes.
Do you feel as though
I tell you what masculinity means to me is lying on the sofa with a box of Maltesers and watching a rom-com.
Well, that's the feminine of you to
me.
And
you think he's joking?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Welcome to Phil's world.
I promise you,
Phil's world.
I'm joking about the rom-com bit, that's for sure. But anyway.
God, rom-com. Jesus.
Gracious me. Two words that strike fear into every person's ear holes.
Rom-com. It's a hilarious rom-com with Jennifer Aniston.
It's an oxymoron.
Well, there you go. Oh, man. Graham Pack defines masculinity as brute 33, splashing it on.
How
do I define it?
All right. Actually,
this is a 2-hour conversation. I mean, in all
Well,
seriousness.
I know, but I'm going to then just tell you whether Danny Dyer actually finds out or not, and whether the program's worth watching. But I'd just like your opinion first.
The thing is, you've got on the one extreme, and the Americans being Americans, as we both know, having lived there, they take everything too fast. So they do this sort of, we are going into the forest and we're stripping off and we're going to beat drums and dance around. I'm going like, Jesus, really? You don't have to do that to show you're a bloke. Take it easy, fella. But no, that's where they think they've got to take that. Just being nice. I mean, just being a decent human being. That's kind of it, really.
I was going to say, do you know what masculinity is to me? Is just being comfortable with the world around you.
Yeah. But that works for girls too.
I think it's got to, I really think it has got over complicated.
You think?
I really, it's got
You think?
Yeah, of course it has. But you know why it's got
something ridiculous like some forms now give you the choice of 112 genders.
Yeah, but it's complete bollocks, and we know that. But here's the thing.
But some people may not have complete bollocks. They may have half.
Well, I don't want to go there. The actual because when Dr. Pam Spur,
can't resist that one.
Dr. Blonde as I call her, when Pam Spur was my guest and on Walk the Talk, The Hero's Journey, she was saying that there are some forms they officially say there are 72 genders. Look, I'm just not going to go into it because it's like
there's no
it's
point.
Nonsense. It's just ridiculous. And if you believe it's great.
There's a serious point. There's a serious point to Danny's question.
And
sorry, I would digress. Yes, Danny.
No, but it's a good time to ask because actually nobody knows what the heck's going on at the moment, and the whole world seems to have gone completely
People gone mad.
But I'm not sure that he finds the answer. It's a series. I've only watched the first 2 episodes. A lot of it is very cliched. But he starts out with all the statistics that we know, which is that 3/4 of suicides are men, 3/4 of the homeless in the country are men. What does this mean? Is masculinity being undermined? Do blokes know who they are anymore and what they're allowed to do, and etc., etc. So the premise is really, really good.
It's important.
And Danny meets lots of interesting people, but I don't think he comes up with an answer. It's still interesting nonetheless, because actually he's a very engaging bloke on telly. I think that the programmer's got the intellectual depth of a puddle, but he's very questioning and charming about how he puts these questions across. And I'm not sure that we learn an awful lot, but it's a nice journey to go on with.
You've now had a tiny glimpse of what Chantal Rickards is like in a serious grown-up meeting round a board table when you're pitching something. It's great. Well, it has the intellectual capacity of a puddle. And you just go and you leave the door. You don't even open the door, you just walk under the door because you're so deflated. The thing is, I have a theory about all of this, and we don't have time because there's no filters, which is this. Yeah, nobody knows where they are. Why? How do you destabilize an entire Western society? How do you destabilize it? It's easy. You set everybody against everybody else.
Yeah. And
you get everybody confused and no one knows what the hell they're doing. And you end up out of 360 million people to choose from with Donald Trump or Joe Biden to vote for in the most powerful country in the world. And it's like, oh my God, how did we get here? Because other people planned how we got here. It wasn't an accident. And destabilization means you don't know, you're embarrassed to be a man. Well, I'm not embarrassed to be a guy. I don't go around punching people in the face. I don't have to go down the pub and drink 17 pints. I don't have to go and watch football. I don't have to be a misogynist, but I'm not embarrassed about it. So I am. That's it. And I'm comfortable with that. It's okay.
Well, I think you're very happy in your own skin, but clearly a lot of young men aren't happy in their own skin.
No, they're all over the place, and of course they are because they're being. Correct me if I'm wrong. Seriously, I'm not saying that facetiously. They are bombarded 24/7 with such toxic messages, designed to make you feel unhappy, unstable, uncomfortable. And I just look at them and go, sod off. I'm not interested. I am who I am. If you don't like it, there's millions of other people to talk to. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But when you're young and you haven't found your way and you don't know, these messages seem very compelling. They're not compelling at all. They're not compelling.
They are designed to cause trouble, frankly.
Of course they are.
And actually, this is part and parcel of my problem. Is what I was saying before. Is I don't care what people's opinions are. Have your opinion. Think what you want. Don't tell someone else they're wrong to think the way they do.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
No, I mean, it's interesting. One of the only answers is that he particularly thinks that everybody should be more active, go to the gym. Boxing seems to be, this is this is played out over and over again, this idea that you get the bad lads and you take them down to the local boxing school, and you get them to thump a few things and, get their energy.
It's not the most stupid idea in the world to give people a skill. Phil, I know you're tut-tutting, but to give people a skill.
No, I'm sorry. No.
And to give them
when I do that, I'm not disagreeing with you. It's not a ridiculous idea at all. You're right.
And to give people a discipline, and to give people pride in what they do, because the rest of their life might be absolute shit, but they can say, for a few hours a week, I can go into the gym or go into the ring and feel that I've accomplished something. I was with a Variety Club, the children's charity used to be just called Variety Club, right, for years and years, and I sat on many of the committees as a trustee, and one of them I was passionate about was youth clubs. Youth clubs. I was really passionate about this, finding the money to give these youth clubs equipment, sports equipment, so they could get people and they'd have somewhere to go, instead of standing on the streets and getting into trouble and being dragged into gangs and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
It sounds like something from Terry and June in the 1950s. I know that, but there was a huge need. And of course, the money in life went into everything else, and the youth clubs were closing, like a plague.
Yeah.
And I think that's very sad.
Yeah,
I feel
it is
passionate
sad
about it,
Yeah. No, they follow in this program. They follow one very nice young man who's a construction worker. And rather bizarrely, one of the facts that came out of it was that in terms of male suicide, it's 3 times higher in the construction industry than the average.
Oh, if only we had made a pitch to Fix FM years ago, 2 pitches, and created programs designed to confront and help this situation. But no.
Yeah.
And then you think, well, if you're not going to do anything to help, okay, I tried.
Well,
I know those stats. It's so sad,
No, fair enough. But I think I need to temper telling you about unbalanced men to tell you about unbalanced women too, because in the next program I watched was something called Baby Reindeer, which is
now it's interesting.
Everyone's
Hang on.
going crazy.
It's interesting
this.
you say that
Wow,
because when we mentioned about television before, who was it? Yeah. There you go. It's Julie Voice. Julie Voice says, and I quote, "Baby Reindeer on Netflix, probably late to the party. It's been out for about a week or 2. So she clearly likes it."
Yeah, people are going potty about it. I know nothing about it.
Well, I'll tell you briefly. It's there's a guy I didn't know, a comedian writer called Richard Gadd. It's really based on something that he did at the Edinburgh Fringe as a stand-up piece, which was about him being pursued by a slightly bonkers woman who over a 3-year period sent him 41,000 emails.
Oh my God.
Which is 37 emails a day. And because he'd been nice, he'd been serving at a pub, he'd been nice to her. She always used to come into the pub on her own. Clearly, this was then, as far as she was concerned, an open door to life, love, and all of what, great riches and great things, and pursued this guy to the nth degree. And I've read several reviews, some calling it a comedy. I found nothing comedic in it.
Everyone says it's
a stand-up.
Scary.
Yeah. I mean, he is a stand-up and it's very dry and there are some funny lines, but he's actually slightly more shocking than that.
Yeah. I hate that. I hate it when comedy is shocking. You laugh out of nerves.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt. It makes you feel sort of, I could feel my heart palpitating, thinking,
God.
oh, hang on a second. This is going to a really bad place. But he plays it beautifully. They both do. I mean, it's mostly a two-hander. My God, they're good. So try it. It won't be to everybody's taste because it's quite different. It's quite quirky. It's quite weird. But it's all from this original true story of Richard Gadd's own experience. And he is a good writer, that's for sure. So see what you think. It's on, what is it? It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Yep.
So
Marvelous stuff.
Yeah.
Chantal, thank you very much indeed. I suppose you two are carrying on, but I must away. It's 1 o'clock. So I would say thank
He's
you
got to
very
have
much.
lunch.
I've got to go and have
He's got to
lunch.
go back to Langan's.
Absolutely nothing to do with relaunching a radio station.
Nothing whatsoever.
Nothing to do with it whatsoever.
No,
Hope to speak
not
to
in
you
the
both
least.
very soon. Have a good week. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Phil. Bless him. Can you imagine having the respect? Phil, he makes light of it. He has got so much responsibility to do in this rebranding, relaunching nightmare in which they find themselves in. And bless him, he is. I'm just thrilled, like I am thrilled that you have time to do. What else have you found?
Well, I sort of.
It's been a pretty dry week, really, I think.
It has been a pretty dry week, but I did watch just before I was going to sleep a couple of nights ago. I thought I don't want to watch anything too dark because I don't want ghastly thoughts going with me into my midnight hours.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, I watched a comedy called Mammoth on the BBC, BBC Two.
Yeah.
And it's about a guy who has a skiing accident. He's covered in an avalanche in 1974. I think it is 1974. And somebody finds him in 2024 sticking out of the snow and revives him. Okay? So he's basically been frozen for 50 years.
I love it.
It's life on Mars with laughter turned up. Now, it's not the best thing you've ever seen, but if you like all of those anachronisms writ large that are used for comedic purposes, it's actually rather funny because we laugh at all the things that we shouldn't laugh at. You were just saying, we like looking at Hello, Hello, or Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, and laughing at things that we really probably shouldn't be laughing at in 2024. Well, this sitcom called Mammoth allows you to laugh at all those silly things that are still silly, frankly. So have a look. It's gentle comedy. It's not a laugh every 30 seconds, but it's nicely played, and the history is it's fun to watch. Nice, easy watch.
It's a very clever conceit, isn't it? Because one, it's you can explain the premise as you did in 2 sentences, so you've got the plot. But what's so clever? It allows you to do the things you couldn't do if you set the whole thing in 2024 and all the characters are of 2024. Very clever.
Yeah. So,
Chantal, it was lovely to see you.
Good to see you.
Always. And it's even better to see you face to face the other evening. What a wonderful, wonderful time. Thank you so, so much. We will see you, God willing, next Friday. Chantal Rickards, we love her. I won't be here on Monday. I can hear the screaming and cheers and applause because on Monday I find myself in Solihull. Clearly, I won't understand a word anyone's saying up there. I will nod as if I'm following. I won't. I'm at a all-day convention for celebrants. They've invited me, which I'm deeply honoured and privileged. So I shall be up there, booted and suited, and it's going to be quite interesting. But you're in the very capable hands of Neil. I'm very rude boy, Longy Long. He's with you on Monday. Neil will be back on Wednesday, and I will be back in a week's time with all the gang. Plus, I can't remember if JB Johnson Baz is joining us or not because I don't carry my diary in my head. Have a wonderful weekend. If it stops raining for 30 seconds, it'll be a plus until we meet again. Take care.